Hi, everyone. We're back here with the Christian Recorder Dialogue. And today we have an incredible guest who accomplished something incredible just recently. We have with us Mayor Ella M. Jones. Now, let me just give you a little brief information about her, but we're going to let her tell us all about her path to becoming mayor. So, as you guys probably already know, Ferguson, Missouri dominated national headlines in 2014. And that is the year protests erupted after a white police officer killed an unarmed Black teenager, Michael Brown. 6 years later, the city of 20,000 has elected Ella M. Jones as its first Black and first woman mayor. So in this interview, we'll obviously discuss how she arrived at her position, and we're going to talk about how she plans to improve the city for its African American residents. So I want to welcome you here. Thank you so much. We know that you're a busy woman. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. And I'm excited that you all wanted me to be here today. Once again, my name is Ella Jones, and I am the newly elected mayor of Ferguson. It has been a month.
Just a month.
Just a month. It's just so exciting. Just want to share with you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. And my grandmother and my grandfather was very instrumental in starting an AME church in their living room in Carrollton, New Orleans. And so I am a born, raised, I am going to be AME until the Lord calls me home. I grew up in St. Peter's AME Church, went to school in New Orleans, Louisiana, got married. My husband wanted to come to Missouri because his family was here. And we've been living in St. Louis since 1970 something. But I've got my degree from the University of Missouri, St. Louis. My degree is in chemistry. My ordination came from St. Paul AME Church, one of the oldest AME churches west of the Mississippi. And right now, the pastor is Dr. Reverend Spencer Lamar Booker. I just love him so dearly. I worked as a pharmaceutical chemist for KV Pharmaceutical Company. And I also worked for Washington University School of Medicine as a peptide specialist. In addition to all of that, after my ordination, I was sent to Bethel AME Church, Painesville, Missouri. I was the second woman to pastor that church. And while I was there, we renovated the church, and the people were very excited to have a new roof. And when I say a new roof, we took the roof all the way off and put in new trusses, everything. So they were excited to have the church renovated. I stayed there about 4 or 5 years, and then I was moved to St. John AME Church in St. Charles, Missouri, where I was the first woman to pastor that congregation. We worked with the YPDers. Of course, we renovated the church. We had such a great time at St. John, St. Charles. And then after that, I was moved to Tri-Union AME Church, where I was the first woman to pastor Tri-Union AME Church. And we stayed there for a while, and then we left and started a mission church, Trinity, Holy Trinity AME Mission. And after a couple of years, we just went back to Tri-Union. So basically, all my life, AME. In addition to that, I own my own business, entrepreneur with Mary Kay Cosmetics. Been in Mary Kay for about 34 years. And yes, I earned 7 cars with Mary Kay. My unit did almost $250,000. Just having a great time. And in addition to all of that, I raised a daughter, sent her to the college of her choice. She is a trainer for Union Pacific. She lives in Dallas and she loves where she lives. I asked all the time, are you going to come back to St. Louis? She said, no, Mom, I guess I'll stay in Dallas. But here recently, back in 2013, my husband passed away suddenly. He died in my arms. And that was, oh, I don't want no one to ever go through that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I just got to a point that I didn't want to work my business without my husband. Um, it was just a very hard time for me. And in 2014, a year later, after my husband passed away, a young, unarmed Black teenager, Micah Brown, was fatally shot by a Ferguson police officer. He laid in the street for almost 4 hours. And that was a wake up call. And no, I did not go out and protest, but a lot of the political figures, they came to me and said, Ella, we would like for you to run for the Ferguson City Council. I'm like, you don't got to be kidding. I have a successful business. I participate in church. I just love working with people and say, that's the main reason we would like for you to run. So I ran for the Ferguson City Council in 2015, and I was the first African-American woman to be elected to the Ferguson City Council. In 2017, I ran for mayor of Ferguson, and I lost that race for about 500 votes. However, in 2018, I was re-elected to my council seat. And in 2019, a group of residents came to me and said, Ella, you have been working in the community. You work with the senior citizens, you work with the young people, you care about people. We want you to run for mayor. I said, well, I ran for mayor in 2017. Well, I said, we didn't know you back then, but now we realize that you love the community, you love the people. So the people got together, put this campaign together, and here I am today. I sit as the first woman mayor of Ferguson after 126 years, the first African-American female. Just so excited about what the people decided to do for themselves.
Wow. I mean, I am sitting up here. I wish everybody could have seen my face while you told us your history, because you have wowed me. I mean, you've accomplished amazing things at every step of your career and your life. And I just want to congratulate you. So we already have 32 people watching us live right now. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Please, if you guys are out there, comment what your church is, comment what your district is. We want to just acknowledge you guys for watching this very important conversation. So that leads me into my next question. You've accomplished so much. Who or what has inspired you the most in your life and career?
Well, it has to be my mom and my grandmother. Ooh, they were stern women. But my grandmother taught me a valuable lesson, a work ethic. If you want to achieve anything in life, work for it. And she taught us not to be jealous of anyone. She said, there's no need for us to be jealous of anyone. If you see someone who has what you want, you go up to them and ask them, how did they achieve it? Then if that's what you really want, you go back and do what they say, but put your own spin on it to make it yours. And so I'm very, very excited about having a grandmother that taught me a lot. And my mom, she was the most phenomenal woman I can imagine in my life, simply because she raised 8 children, 5 boys and 3 girls. And she managed to have a job, take care of us, and all of us turned out really well. My brother, he is an AME pastor, Reverend James W. Palmer, and he pastors St. John Church in Biloxi, Mississippi. My sister, who just recently passed away, and she was a pastor in the AME church. My other sister, school teacher. So my mom poured a lot of life in us. And my dad, well, what did he do? He worked, he came home. He worked and he came home. So, but it was good to be raised with two parents in the household. So anyone that's inspired me here recently, and I will say the strong women who have come along aside beside of me and help encourage me, help mentor me, help me to understand this political process, where the pitfalls are. So the strong women in my life right now, I'm not going to call no one's name, but if I do, I might forget someone, and then I won't have that person. So just very happy to have so many women who are supporting me, and especially a lot of men.
So I want to tell our viewers, please get your questions ready. We'll be taking questions as we go along with this interview. Let's fast forward to Ferguson right now. How are you engaging with young people in Ferguson who may feel that they don't have a voice in this political system right now? You know, how do you actually give them a voice?
Well, I work with a lot of young people here in Ferguson. About 6 years ago, we started a back to school program, and we asked the students what they would like to have to go back to school. And we've been giving away field backpacks for the students to go to school. And then I visit the schools, and they began to share with me what they would like to see. A couple of days ago, a couple of young people came to me and they said, well, we know Ferguson is in the process of rebranding itself. We want to be a part of the rebranding process. And I told them, of course. Right now, working with the Urban League, with the young people to continue to give them some job opportunities and some soft skills so they will know how to be successful on interviews. So all walks of life, the small children, working with them, the youth, and the ones who are in their early 20s, trying to figure out the voting process. Yes, they're to the vote, but we are educating the young people so they would know who to vote for. It's all right to be a voter, but when you go to the polls to vote, you want to know everything it is to know about the judges that are on the ballot, representative, your governor, your St. Louis County people running for office. So education and voter education is very highly sought after for young people at this time.
And so I want to shout out all the people who have joined us. Wow, we have people from Cary Temple AME Church, the First Episcopal District in Rochester, Quinn Chapel, Mount Olive AMEC, St. Philip AME in Atlanta, Allen Temple in Woodstock, Georgia, Mount Calvary AME in Nevada, North Carolina, 2nd District, St. John AME Church, Nashville. You've got quite a few people on here. Thank you so much.
Love it. Love it.
So going back to Ferguson and its current political situation, after the Ferguson protests, we know that the city negotiated a consent decree with the federal government. Can you get us up to speed on what type of reforms resulted from this consent decree? And are you satisfied with these reforms?
Okay, right now, Ferguson is still under the consent decree with the Department of Justice. We have a monitor, and what took place at the beginning, the first year of it, is really looking for a good monitoring team to come in and help us navigate the consent decree. Our consent decree is over 200 pages. It is the largest consent decree that the United States has issued any city. So it takes time to navigate that consent decree. However, the first thing was they went in and they reformed the court system. The court system used to be under the finance director. It is no longer under the finance director. And so we had so many outstanding warrants. And what they did is they called these people in and they forgave them of the minor warrants and the things that was on them. So we got the court system working pretty good. We work with the police department. We have a consent decree coordinator who worked closely with the police department. The police force that was back in 2014 is no longer there. We have more African American on the police force. We have more women on the police force. And some of you may realize that from 2014 all the way up to 2020, we went through 5 chief of police. So we finally got a chief of police that's working with the young people here. Our last chief of police, Delridge Moss, he did a great job. However, he had to go back to Miami, Florida to take care of his mom. But our new police chief, Jason Armstrong, he worked diligently with the young people. You can always find him before the pandemic. They were always up at the Ferguson YMCA having basketball tournaments. Whenever we did the backpack giveaway, he was there. The police department worked with us when we do our Samaritan Feet program, where we have put shoes, stylish tennis shoes, on over 1,000 children. So they are doing community policing, where they're interacting with the people. However, we have not finished. We have a long way to go. We are in the 4th year of the consent decree. And I get September the 22nd, I got the email on yesterday. We have another status hearing. And the purpose of the status hearing is to go before our federal judge, and she listens to what we have accomplished, what we have not accomplished. She listened to what the DOJ is saying about Ferguson and what the monitor is saying about Ferguson. So at this particular consent decree hearing coming up on September the 22nd, the community has an opportunity to send in their comments on how the city been progressing. So overall, we have been moving slow, but we have been moving steady. And the things that we are doing, there are lasting changes for the people here in Ferguson.
Do you see any examples that have been implemented in Ferguson in the last 3 years that could be applied nationally, given that we have the current Black Lives Matter protests? So what have you learned about implementing this consent decree and monitoring that could actually be applied nationally?
Well, one thing is constitutional policing. In our last protest that we had from George Floyd, and I just hate that happened to him, that police officer, if I had an opportunity to stand by, it really hurt my heart. And it would hurt to the point that you don't want to see no one's child laying in the street asking for their parent and saying they can't breathe. So my heart goes out to that family. However, Ferguson is considered ground zero. And if there is a disruption with the police department, I don't care where it is, the protesters or the activists gather at our police department. And one thing I found out, and one thing other police departments can learn from Ferguson, is that we were not quick to want to tear gas them, push them back. And one thing about constitutional policing, the police officers have to wear their name tag. And if they stop you, they have to give you a card and give you information on how to get in touch with them. And we found that when we did a code 1000, that means when we need extra officers to come in, we could not allow them to be on the front line because they were not doing constitutional policing. They were not wearing the name badge. It was in real gear to really, push the crowd back. So people can learn from Ferguson that your job is to protect and to serve the people, not to police them, not to treat them like they're not human. And your job is to treat everyone with dignity. And so that's the difference here.
Thank you so much. I learned a lot from your response to that question. Going ahead, and you've kind of given us a couple of answers to this question already, but I would like for you to elaborate even more. So one of the things that I learned about Ferguson over these past 5 years is that despite being a majority Black city, Ferguson was found to have deep racial inequity. So how are you planning to use your office to implement racial equity?
Well, everyone needs to be treated equally, fairly. And when I say that, we have several apartment complexes located in Ward 3, the underserved, and people want to know how much you care about them more than how much you know. And we want to work. Matter of fact, I went to Jefferson City on Monday to give support to a company that's coming here in Ferguson to open up a nursing home. And the first thing I talk with them about is they're going to have jobs. And I would like for the residents of Ferguson who qualified for these jobs to be the first one to apply and the first one hired. We have people who are out of work in the underserved communities, and I would like for them to come and apply for these jobs, and they are in walking distance. So that's the most important thing, to be a livable and a walkable community. We're working on a playground for the children where they would have to walk at least 4 miles to the nearest playground, even though there is a school about a mile away. But who want their kid to cross a busy street where they are subject to be hurt? So bringing in jobs for the underserved, outside classrooms for our young people to get them educated, and of course, our older youth, make certain they register to vote.
Thank you so much. So, as we know, we are in the middle of a pandemic. So I know you've only been mayor for just 1 month, but could you tell us, what is it like being the mayor of a small city during a pandemic?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because when the pandemic hit in March, the first thing I did as a council person, I talked to a group of our legislators. And as you know, the African American communities were not getting the testing. We were being left out of the testing. We are the majority of the people who have underlying health issues. And the testing were not coming to our neighborhoods. So I got with a group of legislators, the Urban League. Like I say, we had this new nursing home, was planning on opening. I went to the owner and I said, I know you have not opened a nursing home. Is there any reason why we cannot set up a testing site on your parking lot? And so in April, the first thing we did, we opened up a testing site on this parking lot for the people to be tested. And the first week we looked at the numbers, they were so great. We not only left that testing site at the nursing home, we became mobile. We went over to the apartment complex where the people who were afraid of being tested. So we went over there and we started testing in apartment complexes. And then we partnered with Affinia Healthcare. And now we are testing all over the city because we want to keep the people healthy. We want to keep the staff that serve the people at City Hall healthy.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to know that you were able to implement this testing for Black people and for the underserved in Ferguson. That leads me to my next question. I've noticed that there are a lot of AME people, African Methodist Episcopal Church people, involved in politics.
Oh,
yes. In fact, let me just, while we're talking about politics and the church, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that tomorrow we'll be doing another TCR dialogue in which we have Congresswoman Val Demings, who will be talking with Chuck Hobbs. But so what I want to know, I would like to know, we obviously know that the church is separate from the state, but I would like to know, how do you blend your ministry with politics?
Oh,
we know the church is separate from the state, so we know
the church is separate from the state, but you can't take the preacher out of me. You can't take the pastor out of me. And when I say that, people often ask me, how could you used to be a pastor and you're a minister? How could you be in politics? It's just easy. People are people, no matter what. And I see most of these people in church on Sunday. I see them in the neighborhoods. I cannot separate the two simply because people deserve my best. Even if I'm ministering to them in a different capacity, or I'm talking to them about voting and taking ownership of their community. One thing I love about the church, there is a separation between church and state, but I just love my church members who support me and who pray for me. And they do little things for me that keep me motivated, keep me uplifted. So it's hard trying to separate them, but I just blend them in, because when I go to someone's home and they're telling me they're not having a great day, I sit there and I listen to them. And after I sit there and I listen to them, I'm like, okay, I came over here to talk to you about a problem you were having, but I wind up listening to you because I care. So after I listen, I say, okay, what is your problem? What's going on? How can I be of service to you? And the majority of the people say, I'm glad you took the time out of your schedule just to sit and listen to me. And my senior citizens, I think they just call me because they just want me to come over and visit with them. So it's just caring about the people, giving them what they need, just a ear, just to listen. And then don't judge people. I don't care if you black, white, green, purple, middle class, upper class, underserved. You have a right for me to talk to you as a human being and with dignity. I don't talk at you. I don't talk down to you, but I talk to you and I listen. And I think that makes the difference in the way I am the mayor of Ferguson than anyone else, because I care about the people and I listen to them.
And so what advice do you have for other African-American women who aspire to enter politics?
My advice is know who you are and whose you are. You don't have to take on someone else's personality to run. Just know who you are and whose you are. And then get into your local government. Go to your local government meetings. You have to start somewhere. Start going to your city council meetings. Start listening to what's going on in the city council meetings. And then volunteer to be on some of the boards and commission. Go in and not only listen, but you want to volunteer so you can learn what's going on in your local government. And then run for local office. It does not matter if you win or lose the first time, but get enough experience so you can run a clean campaign. If you want to win, don't run a negative campaign about your opponent, because people believe that there's something wrong with you if you try to point out the faults or dislikes about that other campaign, your opponent. So, and above all, grassroots, get out here, knock on doors, introduce yourself to people, find out what they want to see change in their neighborhood, and just work with the people. And above all, get some rest when you need to get some rest.
Yes, I can tell that you have a busy schedule, and I was definitely trying to catch up with you over these last 2 days. So now, what advice would you have for women entering the ministry?
Basically the same advice. You know how God speaks to you. You know his voice. You know what he called you to do. Don't let no one turn you around, because only God can put that call on your life. And then until you fulfill that call, you're not going to be happy. So enter the ministry with a clean heart, knowing that the call that God put on your life is to serve people and do just that. You don't have to compromise. You don't have to do anything else. Just get your education, be willing to serve the people, and be true to yourself.
And so I have just about 2 more questions, but I do want to remind our audience, this is your opportunity to ask the mayor of Ferguson, Missouri, any question that you would like. So please get those questions down before you don't have her anymore here, because she's leaving and she's busy. She's a busy person. My next question is, and you've hinted at this already, but what does the African Methodist Church mean to you?
Oh, wow. It's everything. It's my life. It's my life. I learned everything. I was sharing with a young lady the other day, and I'm from New Orleans. The school teachers we had during the week was our Sunday school teachers.
Oh, wow.
And the training. Oh, this church will train you if you want to learn, and if you're interested in leadership, from the YPDs to the lay organization to the missionary to the mothers. This is a church that would train you to become a leader, and a leader who cares. I am where I am today because of the church. And during this pandemic, it's to the point like you're not supposed to have no more than 10 people at the church. I called Pastor Booker. I said, I'm coming to church if I got to sit on the front steps. So I just ease in the front door and just sit there and listen. Simply because when the church is in you, you're not going to get away from it. And the AME Church is my life. It's everything. The AME Church helped me raise my daughter. And when I say that, and I don't share this with many people, at one point I was thinking about divorcing my husband. And I went to my class leader because we were trained, talk to your class leader. And I went to my class leader and I told her, I said, I don't think I'm going to divorce my husband. She said, for what? I said, I don't know. She said, well, does he work? Does he bring his money home? I say, he does all of that. She said, you know what? You need a break. Why don't you bring your daughter over this weekend and I'll keep her for you and you just spend some quality time with your husband. And I'm so glad that lady told me the truth. I just love the fact that they are good people in the AME church.
Nice. Given that you just were talking about being a mother and a parent, my next question deals with that. What would you advise parents on addressing today's issues with their children?
Well, you have to tell your children the truth, and you have to let them know that racism is alive. And you have to let them know that your education, their education is important to them. They have to learn how to navigate in this culture that we live in. No, you don't want nobody to take advantage of you, but however you want to be a leader, your job is not to follow, but your job is to be a leader. And above all, associate with people of like minds, people who want the same things you want out of life. And be cautious and know your surroundings. And above all, have fun, but keep Christ as the center of your life.
Nice. Thank you so much. We're almost wrapping up here. So once again, you only have about 10 more minutes to get your questions in. What is the single most important accomplishment in your ministry and your political career as a councilwoman?
As a minister, the single most important, I guess, is just serving the people, and being a good pastor to people. That was most important to me. As a councilwoman, I say working with my senior citizens. I just love them, and because they have a wealth of knowledge, and sometimes we tend to forget about our elders, but they are a group of men and women who have wisdom, and it's always great to sit down and listen to them.
Nice. So I'm going to go back to our comments. We've gotten some amazing comments, and I want to share some of them with you. So we have Tyler Taylor, who said, continue to use your gift God gave you. You're blessed to be a servant to his people. God Almighty bless you, Mayor Jones.
Tyler Taylor.
And Virginia Stone says, thank you so much for sharing your story. You are such an inspiration and blessing.
Thank you.
Carrie Temple says, protect and serve the people.
Yes. That is a key. That is a key. You have to protect the people because the people are looking for their leaders to make great decisions for them. And serving them is it's the highest call that you could have on your life, is to serve people.
And we have, I apologize if I mispronounce her name, Tebeho Class, who says, watching and finding it inspirational from the South African shores.
All right.
Wow, we got up to about 50 people watching at one time.
Great, that's awesome.
So congratulations. Once again, before we wrap up, I do want to remind everybody who is watching now is that tomorrow we have another, the Christian Recorder Dialogues, and Florida Representative Val Demings will be chatting with Chuck Hobbs, who is our journalist who also writes for the Christian Recorder. And that will be tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. As you know, many people have said that Representative Val Demings is in the running to become the vice president to Joseph Biden. So that should be an interesting conversation. And now that we're talking about politics, current politics, what do you think about that?
That is phenomenal. We're going to continue to pray that it happens.
Nice. So I guess I want to end um, on how do you envision the next 4 years going for yourself? Like what do you dream of for what I assume will be a very challenging 4 years, but I'm sure you're going to accomplish a lot. So what are you thinking about?
My hope and my desire is that the people in Ferguson continue to have courageous conversations, impactful conversations. We don't all look alike. We are a diverse community, but take the time to understand. I feel, I heard, I believe, and I want the same things for my family as a Black woman or a Black man, as my counterparts, a white woman or a white man. My goal is that when the police drive upon a group of young Black men standing on the corner, that they will not flee, but the police will get out and continue to engage them. Learn the people in the neighborhood that you took an oath to protect and to serve. There's unity in community, and that social economic development is for everyone, and that the people of Ferguson will continue to strive to be the best, the model community for the United States.
Nice. Thank you so much. That reminds me, one thing we actually didn't address is your views on the new demands of Black Lives Matters, which in which many have been talking about abolishing the police or defunding the police. Where does Ferguson stand, or where does you as the mayor of Ferguson stand on this issue?
Well, I look at the Black Lives Matter movement to defund the police. I believe, now this is my belief, I believe they're looking at not only does the police need to take the basic bias training, however, why is it some of the monies cannot go to social workers to help the police department to be better police? Not every police call needs a police. You know, we have domestic situations, and to de-escalate that situation, it doesn't need a police officer. It needs a social worker who can come with different resources and wraparound services for that family. Disputes, neighbors' disputes. It does not always require a police coming out and try to give one neighbor a ticket over the other ticket, but some mediation service. So that's what I'm looking at when they say defund the police.
And we actually got one question from our audience. Thank you so much, Carrie Temple Amy. What are three leadership tips that you can share that will help us in our daily responsibilities?
Well, number one is write a 6 most important things list every night before you go to bed, and complete your 6 most important things list, and then you are done for the day. Don't make your list 20 items long, because you're not going to accomplish it. You will get frustrated. So your 6 most important things list every day. And in addition to that, surround yourself with 5 people who you can be able to interact with and talk with, and who's going to push you to the next level. Mm-hmm. Consider yourself a number 8, then you go find yourself some number 10s, because they are going to push you and help you rise to the next level. Third, but most importantly, keep God, Christ number one in your life.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Before we go, I want to thank the people who made this live happen. And so I want to thank the AME publisher, who is Roderick Bellin, and I want to thank the editor of the Christian Recorder, John Thomas. Thank you so much for helping to make these incredible lives that we're having this month. And obviously, I want to thank Mayor Ella M. Jones for being with us, taking time out she is a busy woman, you guys. So this is a treat for us. And I just want to say, are there any shout outs that you would like to give? Because, there's some people who expect shout outs.
I would like to shout out to the best bishop in all of the AME Church, Bishop Few, my bishop. And I say that sincerely because he was visiting St. Paul when I went up to the altar to ask Pastor Booker to pray for me because I was going to run for the seat of council and I'd be the first Black woman. And Bishop Few was there and he prayed for me. And he has taken active interest in my path to where I am. Whenever annual conference will come, he will make certain that I get special prayer. So, Bishop, I love you. First Lady of the church, I love her too. And of course, my pastor, my brother who pastor, to all my girlfriends, everyone, especially to the AME Church, who has nurtured me to become the person that I am today.
Thank you so much. And we actually have an official thank you from the African Methodist Episcopal Church. They say, thank you for sharing your inspiring story, and may God continue to bless you as you live out his purpose through your service to his people.
Thank you. I love the church, and thank you, AME Church.
Well, thank you so much for another wonderful TCR Dialogues. Don't forget, tomorrow we have Florida Representative Val Demings with Chuck Hobbs. So please check us out tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. And thank you so much. Ciao.
Take care.